Discovered my 38 male, wife 38 female of 17 years has been texting another man for 1.5 years and hiding it from me. In order to offer some perspective, my wife and I have been married for 17 years and have 2 children. We are both educators, 16 male and 10 female. We have been high school sweethearts and got married soon after graduating from college, which was a happy coincidence. Since our wedding, our marriage has been mostly steady with few serious issues. No divorces, no domestic violence, no infidelity or dead bedrooms, among other things. I've never had reason to mistrust my wife before, and I don't monitor her phone calls, emails, or other electronic communications. I work in a high-stress environment where I am required to work long hours. Because we have BYOD, bring your own device, I had to submit my phone bill to my employer yesterday for reimbursement purposes. My employer pays a portion of our mobile phone bill as long as we provide the invoice. It occurred to me that the bill was a bit longer than usual when I printed it, 42 pages. The bill from our service provider includes a detailed breakdown of all of the calls and texts you have made during the month. So I keep looking through the statement until I get to my wife's phone number, where I see one number that appears a lot. There's essentially an entire page of continuous text to and from this number. There's maybe 100 or more of it. Others show her contacting this guy till 1 or 2 a.m. on other days, including one in which she texted constantly from 5-7 a.m. I usually get home around 7, and then again from 9 a.m. until 11:30 p.m. on another day, among other things. Apart from the fact that I am unfamiliar with the number, it is also not in our area code. It originates from a zip code in the same metro area as us, which is around 4 to 5 minutes away by car. Consequently, I typed the number into Facebook and some guy's name, again, one I don't recognize and whom my wife has never mentioned to me, shows on the screen. When I call it from my office phone, I receive the same name on the voicemail as when I call it from home. As a consequence, I confronted my wife about what had happened to me. She acknowledges that she has been involved in a non-romantic relationship with this guy for a year and a half. She expressed her loneliness by going online to a website that catered to those looking for non-romantic contacts with others. To be clear, she has had male friends in the past, and we currently have M/F couple friends, and I have never objected to her conversing with any of these groups of individuals. However, she purposely concealed this information from me for more than a year and a half, and she regularly lied to me when I inquired as to who she was communicating till the wee hours of the morning. She claims that there was no physical contact and that they have never met in person, and I believe her completely. She tried to justify it to herself by arguing that it had never crossed that line in the first place. While this is going on, I'm feeling emotionally depleted. She devoted a significant amount of time that she was not devoting to our relationship to a relationship with another man, which she kept secret from me. I'm at a loss for what to say at this point. As a result of my high income, top 1%, we will not have to worry about paying the mortgage if we divorce, and I won't have to worry about finding another spouse if that occurs. I stay in pretty good shape. I enjoy our children and would miss seeing them every night if we didn't have them here. To put it another way, I feel as like my trust has been betrayed, and I'm not sure how I can recommit to spending the rest of my life with someone who has deceived me for the last year and a half. Is this becoming too much of a nuisance? Edit. To respond to some of the apparent questions that I should have addressed right away, she expresses her heartfelt regret for not responding sooner. When I questioned her about it, her initial response was, "He's just a pal," which I found to be true. When I asked her about it, she admitted that she had done something improperly and that she had lied about it. She passionately apologized and said that she would do all in her power not to lose me. She phoned him yesterday night and informed him that she would no longer be able to contact him and that she had deleted his contact information from her phone. If we decide to stay together, we will almost certainly seek couples counseling. Update. As of Monday night, she had admitted to having an emotional affair with another man for 1.5 years, but she insisted that this was the end of it. When I learned about the iPhone recovery application, I immediately phoned her to tell her not to use her phone and that I would extract the information later that night from my computer. In the blink of an eye, she admitted to the other guy. My first effort to start the program was after I returned home. For whatever reason, it was unable to function correctly, probably human mistake. It only presented fragments from 350 texts, none of which seemed to be really relevant to the topic at hand. I decided not to invest the additional $70 for the whole installation and scrapped the idea. Around 7 p.m., I went out with a friend who had also been the victim of adultery for drinks to speak about it, and he offered that I give my wife a second chance, as long as she had never seen the other person before. I got home at 9:30 p.m. on Friday night. She was seated in the sunroom with her best friend, who was also speaking with her. After an awkward greeting with my closest friend, who I'm sure was aware of what was going on, I headed up to my office. 10 minutes later, after her friend had left, my wife burst into the room and immediately started shouting, telling me that I needed to get over it and that she wouldn't feel the same way again for the next 6 months. I was a little taken aback. When I realized I'd been aware of the situation for 30 hours and was only receiving trickle truths during that period. When we stopped yelling at one another, she left. She walked into my daughter's room to soothe her. I assumed she was leaving to text the other guy, and I finished my work and went to bed in the guest room. I awakened at around 1:30 a.m. I walked into her master bedroom and removed her phone from her. I went through the texts and emails, but there was nothing there that was older than a day or two since anything older than that was deleted. I was in excruciating pain. I was under the impression that I needed to be able to trust her, but I was certain she was lying to me and keeping facts from me. After returning the phone to her room, I went to my place of employment. During my search for iPhone recovery software, I came across a few of results that seemed to be legitimate. I walked back into the room and pulled her phone from her grasp once again. Unlike the previous day, she awakened and followed me into the office this time. This time, though, I concentrated more on the software. I placed the phone in airplane mode, turned off iTunes autosync, closed all of the applications, and so on and so forth. As a consequence of my free exam, I received 3,500 results, with the sixth of them coming from the other individual. I purchased the software for $50 and then proceeded to run the whole program. It took around 10 minutes, during which time she sought unsuccessfully to convince me not to look at the item in question. When I got the results, I immediately started reading the materials. The good news was that there was no evidence to suggest that she and the other individual had ever met before. I was in Europe from Monday to Thursday last week, during which time I received a large number of fresh SMS. Many of them were explicit, but none of them said that they were planning a meeting. That takes us to the unwelcome piece of news, when I probed as to when they first started. She stated that it was in October. I was going through the texts. They aren't organized by name, just by file size, so you have to go through them all, and came across one that was dated July of this year. It was clearly written by someone else. The style was completely different, and was incredibly explicit. I can't wait to see you naked. I'll wear anything you want, and so on. Also discussed was the possibility of getting together. As a result, she progressively confessed to meeting up with 2 other guys who she had met on Craigslist. She acknowledged to fooling about with one of them, but said that they met at a park and that they did not engage in activity. The feeling I experienced at the moment was genuine. It was as if a tremendous weight had been lifted off my shoulders. All of my reservations about putting my faith in her had evaporated, and I felt certain that I could move forward with a clean conscience. Later that night, she confessed to sleeping with another Craigslist guy she had met on the internet, one time. She admitted last night that she had slept with another guy in Alaska, when she was there alone for a year and a half on vacation a year and a half ago. Because of the messages I read, I have faith in her that she did not meet the person she had been messaging on a regular basis. Though given how quickly the conversations were progressing, I'm confident it would have happened eventually, and that nothing appeared to happen while I was out of town for a week, but it doesn't really matter anymore. The postscript is self-explanatory, as is the conclusion. Throughout the day, she has been weeping and begging with me to give her another chance. In the sake of the children, I'd want to remain through the holidays, but I'll be leaving in January.